Hello, my name's Mike Ponting from Making the Link. I run a training company that specialises in helping organisations and individuals develop their performance. Today I'm being joined by Jo Maddocks. Jo, thanks for coming along.
Pleasure.
Jo's from JCA, a firm of occupational psychologists, and he's the author of an individual effectiveness diagnostic tool that helps individuals become more effective. Now, Jo's an expert in emotional intelligence. What does that mean? Well, we're here today to find out a little bit more about individual effectiveness, emotional intelligence, and what that actually means for individuals. So, Jo, if I may, kick off with a few questions. How would you describe emotional intelligence?
Well, there's a clue in the title. It's intelligent use of your emotions. So if you like, it's using your thinking about your feeling to guide your behaviour. Or if you like, you actually can use your feelings about your thinking to guide your behaviour. But in effect, it's the relationship between those three parts: thinking, feeling and behaviour. EI is the hard stuff. For example, having those difficult conversations with your colleague, being assertive with people, motivating yourself when you're not feeling like doing something, overcoming difficult situations. So it's not really the easiest. It's the stuff we often don't want to look at and we don't address. Emotional intelligence really has become popular over the last sort of 10 or so years because of our understanding of how the brain works. So now we understand that the deeper parts of the brain, the emotional parts of the brain, are fueling our thinking, which perhaps 20, 30 years we weren't aware of. We didn't have the sort of MRI scanning and so forth available that we do now. So for example, we know now that feelings precede thinking. So if you're not aware of the feelings that you're experiencing, then you're less able to manage how you think and how you behave appropriately. It's a doing word, it's a verb. So rather than it being you are emotionally intelligent, it's are you being emotionally intelligent? I think some people stop themselves because, oh well, I just haven't got that. Everyone's got it, it's a question of whether you're using it. Or some people just assume, oh, I'm emotionally intelligent, I don't need to worry, I've scored 10 on the questionnaire or something. And actually it's about in the present time. There isn't a future, there isn't a past, just now, and how you're doing it in the moment. Are you being aware of your behaviour? Are you understanding how the other person's experiencing that?
Okay, a lot of people say to me, isn't it just about being nice to people? It's a bit fluffy, a bit woolly around the edges. Well, what's new with this approach? What's the hard science behind it?
I think the first thing is to say is we haven't invented something new about human beings. People have always been the same. They've evolved over millions of years, and it's really now we have a better understanding of how the brain has evolved. So the hard science comes from the neurological side. Certainly that's my appreciation of where we've improved, if you like, in understanding how to help people to develop themselves, to be better performers, to be all that they can be. If you think about a computer, you can just get rid of some of the old computer hardware and then put in a new computer software. While in the brain, it's just evolved over millions of years. So we've still got the old stuff. We've still got the emotional brain that's driving, the instinctive brain that's driving, and these things are more powerful. So I suppose the hard science is a better understanding of how the relationship between the different parts of the brain at a deeper level, the feeling brain, the thinking brain.
There are a lot of psychometric tools available in the marketplace. What differentiates your diagnostic tool from all the others?
Okay, well, there's a few very clear differentiators in terms of the practical product. One is we focus on attitudes, others focus on personality or competencies. Just to give you a little bit more information on that, personality, we say it's about managing your personality. So I'm an introvert, for example. It doesn't preclude me from doing extroverted things. What enables me to do that is manage my energy, notice my behaviour, notice what's going on for me, as well as being aware of other people. So it's about managing who you are, managing your personality. It's also, Goldman goes very much down the competency route, which is a useful approach if you want to give people specific behaviours about how to behave and what's good performance. But what we think is people only maintain those behaviours if it's consistent with their attitude. So attitude and behaviour need to be consistent. So if I want to be assertive, for example, I could send you on an assertiveness course, teach you how to say no and stand up for yourself. But underneath you might still feel like a bit of a worm. So you come back and you go back to the old behaviours once you're in the same environment again. But if I could help you to shift your attitude to feeling more of a valuable human being, then I don't need to teach you to say no. You will stand up for yourself in your own way. So the behaviours are more of an outcome of having the right attitude, an outcome of the feelings that drive those thoughts and those behaviours. So we try to work at a more fundamental level. It does take a little bit longer to make those shifts, but once you do it, you find that it's much more sustainable. And this is like the holy grail of development, people development, is can you make a change that's enduring? So 3 months later, the person is still performing better. So one of the differences, I suppose, is we go a little bit deeper. We look at core attitudes. We look at the feelings behind behaviour a lot more. And we give people very practical ways of making those changes.
Okay, it's an individual effectiveness tool. Who is it intended for?
Typically, we train a lot of coaches who work with often high performers, leaders, decision makers, people who are working in a lot of fields of change and are having to deal with a lot of pressure and a lot of, say, team leaders, for example, so working with others. One misnomer about EI is it's all about relationships. In fact, our framework says that's one half of it. The other half is managing yourself. If I can't motivate myself, focus my goals, adapt my behaviour according to others, then I'm not going to build good relationships.
What are the outcomes?
We do get really good results, not just with what we do, but it's people like yourself and other really exceptional coaches who make use of the instrument to help them in their job. I think there are three key ingredients as to why this stuff works and why it makes a difference. One is emotional intelligence is something you can develop, it's something you can change. For example, personality is relatively fixed, IQ is not that changeable. This is something you can develop. The second thing is we can measure it. So we have tools like this, 360 tools and so forth, that help measure and benchmark progress. But the third thing is it predicts performance, and there's a lot of evidence that it predicts performance. Those three things combined are like the holy grail of personal development and performance. It's measurable, changeable, and it predicts performance. And there's lots of evidence for that.
Where can they find out more info?
Well, they may have even come across it. We've got hundreds of people like yourself, Mike, who are using it, so that might be one port of call. Our own organisation, JCA, www.jca.eu.com, or phone us. But if you go to the website, you can download and look at a lot of information about it. And Tim, my colleague who co-authored it, has written a book on all the theory, if that's your interest. And another guy, if you're more into the practical stuff, Stephen Neal's written a book on it for coaching managers with EI, and we'll be writing a book fairly soon on our own stuff. So there's plenty of information there. Yeah.
Jo, brilliant. Thank you ever so much indeed for coming in today. It's been a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks,
and
Mike.
I look forward to using the tool again, because
Great.
it has some great results.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Cheers.
Cheers.